Okay, moving forward. So now Rabbi Harav Avram Gislason made an interesting point that he told me about. We were talking about the different, when we were speaking about the kav and the makampani, so we were talking about different things that represent that in our world. Rabbi Avram Gislason said something very, very good. He said that the makampani is like the womb of a woman, and the kav is like the umbilical cord. And that's actually an excellent mashal. As a matter of fact, it does say a lot of Mefarshim on Kisvei Arizal explain the halal, or the makampani, as the womb of creation. They actually use that term. So that mashal is actually a very, very good mashal. And of course, the umbilical cord is what brings all sustenance to the baby who is in the womb. So that's actually a very, very nice mashal. So where we left off last time was we were talking about Adam Kadmoin, otherwise known as Ak. Adam is Aleph, Kadmoin is Kuf, is a lot of times in this limit it's expressed as Ak. So Adam Kadmoin. So we had explained that what happened, that the Kav came in. Oh, good evening. The Kav came in, and from the Kav came down a little bit, and there was a sphere of Keser. It came down a little bit more. Chachma came down a little bit more. Bina. And then I ended up showing this diagram, and I said that it's Lav Dafka in the middle there. There's a big hole. It really, these 10 spheres really, they're called igulim, which means circles. That's how the Arizal calls them. And that's the picture. And they fill the entire Makampani with 10 spheres. Okay? And so now the Makampani is full of 10 spheres. Now, what I did want to say as well is that you must know that the Arizal says that not only did the spheres come into Adam Kadmoin in a circular way, called igulim, but they also came in as yoisher. Now, yoisher, right, yoisher means straight. That's what the word yoisher means, straight. So I'm going to just show you now, actually for this, we can actually go into our books at the back, into our Svarim. They did an amazing job, Rabbi Mandelovich and the Sifsei Chein Moisid. They have a whole Moisid that works on these Svarim, putting them out. In the back of the Sefer, you have amazing diagrams. So, you know, it's not too bad. They didn't put numbers. But this much I can tell you. When you go to the very end of the Sefer, it ends with page numbers, Taf, Kuf, Samach, Aleph. And then you'll get to this page, which says, Ilanois v'tabla shel ha'eser spheres. Okay? So that means the trees and the tables, the charts of the Eser spheres. So if you do turn the first page. So first of all, you'll see actually how the Mechaber, Rabbi Kraus, alav shalom, Zecher Tzadik v'Kodesh Livracha, how this is actually his handwriting, when he himself made these diagrams. That's just interesting, but what I want you to pay attention to is this chart over here, the very first chart. And on this chart, you're going to see that the 10 spheres are lined up in 3 lines, okay? And this is classically how we will always see the 10 spheres. As a matter of fact, Rav Chaim Vital says that we don't deal with Igulim very much at all in Kisvei Arizal. Most of Kisvei Arizal, when we're talking about spheres, we're going to be talking about the spheres in this array. And in some places it's called the Eitz Chaim. It's interesting, of course, the Eitz Chaim is, of course, from Eitz HaChaim is from Chumash, of course, the Tree of Life. And of course, the main work of Rav Chaim Vital to explain the Kisvei Arizal is called the Eitz Chaim. But this diagram we also refer to as the Eitz Chaim. It's like a tree of life, so to say. And what you'll see here now, so what you'll see here, I'm just going to explain. It's kind of awkward to do it with the video, but we're going to try. Okay, so yeah, that more or less works. Up here you have Keser and Chachma and Bina, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzachoid, Yisoid, and Malchus. Now we never really explained what spheres are. later on in the Sefer, he's going to do a very, very good, thorough explanation of what spheres are. Over here, you just see, but what I want to point out is, first of all, they also have, every sphere has its own Shem. Okay, so you'll see, like by Keser, it's Eke. By Chachma, it's Yud Kei. But that, I don't want to go into that now. That's more advanced, and we will get there. Imiyat Hashem. What I wanted to focus on now is this Tzura of Yosher, which means the 10 spheres are in 3 lines. So basically, the right line is going to be called the male. Okay, so that's going to be Chachma, Chesed, and Netzach. The left side is going to be called female, which is Bina, Gvura, and Hod. And the middle is going to be a mixture of male and female. So the top one is Keser, is male. Tiferes is male, and Yesoid is female, and Malchus is female. So this array of spheres.
What about, sorry.
Yeah.
What about Das? Is Das on there?
Oh, very good. Well, it's very good you mentioned that. So Das is in between here. You see, there's Keser, Das, and Tiferes. Now they don't put a circle around Das. So this is also, what you asked is a very good question. It's an advanced question. But I'll just tell you, there's a rule that we only have 10 spheres. So sometimes, this is a complicated rule, and we will get into it. I don't want to get sidetracked now. Sometimes we will count the Esther spheres with Keser and not Das. And sometimes we will not count Keser and we will count Das. So it's whatever. I don't want to go into it now because that's an advanced question and it's a good question. But right now, basically, the 10 spheres is Keser, and we don't say Das. Let's just.
But would Das be male or female?
Oh, that's an excellent question. A very good question. I would imagine male, but no, I never thought of that question. It's an excellent question. I don't know the answer to the question, but it's a good question. Hang on to that question. Imiyat Hashem, when we get into it, we'll try to answer that question. So now, when we're talking about Ak or Adam Kadmoin, so you have to understand that both things are, Ak possesses both these characteristics at the same time. So the way that we started with Adam Kadmoin was the 10 spheres in Igulim, right? Now this diagram that I have been showing you, now I'm going to explain it to you. This diagram will actually show you both, okay? Because it shows you here, also on Ak or Adam Kadmoin, you have the spheres in Yosher, right? So you have the right side is here, and you have the left side is here, and then you have the middle side here. So they're not showing it. They're showing it. That's exactly what they're showing. So somehow, I can't explain right now how they connect, but what we need to know right now is that Adam Kadmoin has both. It has Igulim and it has Yosher in the spheres. Okay. Now, again, when we will go further in Yitz Hashem into the Sefer, we're going to explain exactly what these spheres are. But right now, what you need to know is the spheres are the DNA of existence. The DNA of existence, or you could say the blood of existence. But DNA is probably a better description. That means to say that because we had already spoken last week that in Ein Sof Kavayachol there are 10 spheres kamisois, that means to say there are 10 very, very, very hidden spheres in Ein Sof itself. And we explained that in detail last year. So because that exists in Hashem in his essence, Kaviyachol, therefore it will exist in Adam Kadmoin, and therefore it will exist in everything, every single world, and every single thing in the world. It is the DNA of existence. So what am I saying? I'm saying that anything that you see in our world here has 10 spheres, everything. So people have 10 spheres. This table, this chair, that pot light, you name it. The floor, every speck of dust has 10 spheres. Okay, that it is the DNA of creation. That's at this point, that's what we need to know about Sfiras and Yetzer Hashem. As we go further, we're going to start talking about exactly what Chesed is, what is Keser, what is Chachma, etc., etc. Okay. So now that we've established what Adam Kadmon is, so I do need to say, I say it all the time, but I'm just going to say it because now we're going to get into something very, very unique. And it could be very something surprising. So I'm going to say it again, even though I said it 1,000 times, but it's never said enough that you're going to hear things in this limit, and you cannot be megashim chas v'sholem. In other words, the things that we're going to describe now, and always when we're talking about these high places, is these things are not physical things. And even though images will come up in your mind as physical things, that's how we think, that's how we're wired, that's okay. But you have to know when you see these images, that's how when I say a hand, I'm looking at my hand. But when we're talking, let's say, about a hand up there, chas v'shulam, you cannot believe it's a real hand up there, a physical hand. It's not so. So first let me give you some information about Adam Kadmon. The Rizal says a massive chiddush about Adam Kadmon. Put on your seatbelts. The Rizal said, let me start like this. Let me start like this. What does it mean? We have psukim in Chumash, such as Vayar Yisrael Yad Hagadoila Asher Asa Hashem b'Mitzrayim. Right? The Yidden saw the great hand that Hashem showed him Mitzrayim, right? So Hashem has a hand. Eine Hashem el Yereav. The eyes of Hashem are to those who fear him, right? Does Hashem have eyes? B'yad chazaka v'zorei netuya, with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. Okay, a hand, an arm. Hashem has these things. Etz belikim, right? The Mitzrayim said this makkah is etz belikim. It's the finger of God, right? Hashem has fingers. So, what's the answer? Anyone have an answer to that? Anyone know an answer?
Hashem has everything.
But
we don't see them though, but he has everything.
Okay, I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? Anybody? So the Rambam asks this question. Okay,
so in the mornings, Hashem.
Okay, so okay. So hang on to that. What he just said was that we do have a chazal that Hashem also puts on tefillin. So what does that mean? Very good. So we're getting there. Sorry?
It says that he sits also.
Hashem sits, excellent. Yeah. He sits al kisei rachamim. He sits, excellent. He sits, and I think we probably have the shoyness of he stands.
Footstool, apparently.
Right, you're very good. Footstool, excellent. Footstool, yeah. So you have a footstool without a foot. So what does that mean exactly? So the Rambam addresses this issue, and the Rambam says simply that the Torah speaks b'lashon b'nei Adam. That's what the Rambam says. The Rambam says that the Torah will talk the way people talk. So the Rambam's answer is, if Hashem wants to express strength or might, so the Torah will talk about the hand of Hashem. Okay, Zroa Netuya, an outstretched arm. These are showing midis kaviyachol of Hashem. Eine Hashem el Yereav, Hashem is watching over us, right? That's how the Rambam explains it. And the Rambam was certainly talking to a Klal Yisrael that was not privy to Kisvei Arizah, for sure. So the Rambam's answer is an excellent answer, of course. Thank you. However, what I have found, to be honest, is whenever the Torah says something, it is true literally. And if you'll see, good evening. If you will see, you're going to see in Yetzer Hashem, as we get deeper and deeper into this limit, you're going to see that when that when the Torah says something, you can usually assume that it means it literally. And if it doesn't make sense literally, it means you probably don't understand it properly. And probably if you understood it in the Kabbalistic context, you would understand it. And it would be literal. So why am I bringing this up? So, in other words, the Rambam's answer was a great answer, but he wasn't speaking to people that understood Kisvei Arizal or Kabbalah. Now, there's a very interesting question about the Rambam, how much the Rambam knew exactly about Kabbalah. It wouldn't be called Kisvei Arizal because the Rambam was way before the Arizal. But you have to understand that we have said already that there was Kabbalah. Raziel HaMalach gave a sefer to Adam HaRishon. We said that there was, we spoke about Avram Avinu and right, Sefer Tzitznisa and Yaakov Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu. We have a sefer from. So Kabbalah has been around from the very beginning. But we also said that there was a Mesorah that the Ramban had that Mesorah and got it from his Rebbe and passed it on, but there were only a few Yechidim in every door that had the Mesorah of Kabbalah. That's what the Arizal says. Maybe Reb Chaim Vital says it. So most people assume that the Rambam did not have it, did not have this Mesorah. That's most people assume. And when you see how the Rambam explains mitzvahs, and generally the Rambam's Mahalach, you don't really see a Kabbalistic bend. Yes.
Certainly would have had me talk Midvash perish on the Zohar.
He would not have. Right.
Joking.
Right. No, okay, right. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. So now that being said, there are those that wrote Kabbalistic Perushim on the Moreh Nevuchim. Okay? So some people did see Ramazim to Kabbalah in the works of the Rambam. It's very interesting. I believe the Chidah says a very interesting mice. I believe it's from the Chidah. And the Chidah says that the Rambam really did not have a Mesorah of Kabbalah. And at the end of his life, an old man visited him and sat with him and spent time with him. And he was giving over to him the Mesorah of Kabbalah. But this was already when the Rambam was very, very old. And so according to the Chidah, it seems that the Rambam did eventually get it, but it was very, very towards the end of his life. And he wasn't able to incorporate that into all of the things that he had already written. Now it's interesting, Zivitchoiva Rebbe, who was from the greatest Mekubalim of his time and from the greatest Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov, I mean a little bit later, but from the great Chassidish Rebbes, he says he sees in the writings of the Rambam, he knows for a fact that he did understand Kabbalah. Now and then there's also a question of, how much, what the Kabbalah of the Ramak, the Kabbalah of the Arizal, the Kabbalah of Rabbi Abulafia, like this is also quite, because there was different Mesorahs of Kabbalah. Not everybody, it's not all the same by everybody. So anyway, that was just an aside. But so basically, that was the Rambam's answer, that the Torah speaks to people in the way that they can understand, and that's why we have these expressions, Yada Gedoyle, Yada Chazaka, etc. Eine Hashem El Yereov. Comes the Arizal, and he tells us a massive chiddush. He says that in Adam Kadmon himself, you have a naim, you have two eyes, you have a choitem, you have a nose, you have a peh, you have a mouth, you have oznayim, you have ears, zakein, a beard.
For those who don't shave.
You have a chaza, a chest, tabur, a navel or a belly button. Okay, the Arizal says this about Adam Kadmon. Now I'm going to say it again. We cannot be megashim. So what does that mean? It means like this. If you would look at these things, if we could see these things in Shemayim, it would look like Shemus. That's what it would look like. It would look like Oisius and Shemus. It wouldn't look Chas Shulam like a nose or an ear. But what we do need to know is everything that we have, everything the way that we look is only a reflection of that. So somehow the shape of an ear or the shape of a nose or a mouth, somehow that is a reflection of these oisius, these letters of the aleph base, or these shemis that are happening up there. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, aren't shemis also Gashmias? Like
That's a great.
the letters themselves.
That's a great question.
Unless you
That's it. You see,
like,
you're saying a great question. You're saying a great question. So the answer is yes. In other words, anything that the Arizal describes to us, ultimately, the way that we can understand it, how it looks in Shemayim, you would say it's oisius. Okay, and we're going to have this sefer is going to go into that. But
Is it maybe better to say it would be representations of Oisius instead of looks like Oisius?
yeah, maybe you could say it that way. Yeah, maybe yes. Maybe yes.
Matters at the end of the day.
Maybe yes. What we have, Hashem gave us a Torah, and the Torah is written with the oisius of aleph base. That's what we have. That's our handle. So but of course, every ois is that's just the, like you said, that's kind of, an aleph is a physical representation of the aleph, but of course there's all kinds of spirituality going on in that aleph, a base, gimel, dalet, etc. So that was a very good point. But ultimately, the way that we talk, basically, when we learn Kisvei Arizal, is we talk about these. So the Arizal does say these things: einayim, eyes; choitem, nose; oznayim, ears; zakein, shiboilus, the point of the beard; shiboilus hazakein; the chaza, the chest; tabor, the navel. Again, chas v'shulam, do not think about these things in physical. You're going to get a physical image. An image will come up in your mind, but you have to understand this is all spiritual up there, and it's shemis, it's oisius. That's what it is. Now, we have to. The reason we're going to need to now, also, you see that the explanation is a literal explanation. So when the Torah says, "Vayar Hashem es hayada gedola," so not Vayar Hashem. Vayar Yisrael seyara gedola. So there is a hand. There is a hand. But it doesn't look like a hand. It's shemus, it's oisius. But again, anything that you're going to hear about, any pasuk that says in the Torah, if you know, what I have found is if you're privy to what the Arizal is saying, you will see that the explanation is a literal explanation. Not a physical explanation, but literal. So we talk about Hashem's eyes, ears, nose. If we see these expressions in Chumash, these things do exist up there, but not in a physical way.
Well, that's why I said it's more like a representation, because people say even today, it was the hand of God.
The hand of God. Okay,
so
right.
We were able to recognize that.
That's right.
Hashem used the concept that we understand what is done with a hand. Hashem interacted with the world in that way, in that situation.
Correct.
Or Hashem heard us. Hashem heard our tefillas.
Right. He heard. Right.
It's the concept of what's behind hearing. Hearing is just a representation of something.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. The way.
They didn't see Sheamus.
Say that again.
I'm saying when someone says they saw it was the hand of Hashem.
Right.
They didn't see Sheamus.
Right. Correct. 100%.
It's a conceptual.
100%.
All people say the whole thing with the Iranian president was the hand of Hashem.
100%. So the way actually Rabbi Dr. Akiva Tatz, the way he expresses it is that Hashem's hand is the real hand. That's the real hand. Our hand is a mashal. We don't view it this way. We view it as this is a hand, and up there is a mashal. That's not true. It's exactly the opposite. Hashem's hand, whatever that means, those oisius, those shemus, whatever that means, that is a hand. And this is a mashal that we can look at our hand and say, this means something up there. Okay, so we're the mashal. He's the real thing. So why are we called Adam Kadmon? Why are we called Adam? Forgive me. The reason that we're called Adam is because there's something higher than us called Adam Kadmoin, which we've been discussing. And that Adam Kadmoin has, Kaviyachol, eyes and a nose and 2 ears. So now you can also understand what it means that we are called Adam. We are called Adam because that is the real man. That Adam Kadmoin is the true man, and we are a reflection of that. So we are called Adam. Yeah.
So do we say that there's, just to simplify it, this is obviously not going to be accurate, but like, is the concept at this point that there's one Adam Kadmon that is like maybe a shadow of, not each individual has its own Adam Kadmon,
No.
but that there's one Adam Kadmon and then humanity as a whole, like
Yeah, that's right.
or whatever, has some sort of Adam Kadmon underlying it.
But so yeah,
Like,
so
I don't have my own individual Adam Kadmon at a basic level. I understand we all have spheros, and every sphere
right,
has spheros,
right.
et cetera, et cetera.
So that
We're looking at it right now to approximate things.
I would say what you're saying is correct. What we're yes, yeah. The Rashash is going to have a lot of to say about what you kind of said now, but at this point we have to keep it simple. So yes, Adam Kadmon is the first world that we have that is formed from the Kav in the Makom Pani, and there's one Adam. Let's just for simplicity right now, let's just say that there's one Adam Kadmon, and we are all modeled. Every human being is modeled after that one world. Let's put it that way. Now it's interesting. It's interesting that a lot of times, you know, it was always the minig, the custom by Yidden to have a beard, always. Yes, it's true that sometimes when there was persecutions or other reasons, or sometimes people felt in business they had to shave. So yes, al pi halacha, there's a way to shave, but the Yiddish tzura was always a beard, and the most basic reason for that is because Adam Kadmon has a beard. So sometimes, like by Chassidim, they'll joke, you know, someone trims it. By Chassidim, they don't even, al pi their rizal, you don't even trim your beard. You won't even trim it. You won't touch it. So you know, people will joke. Let's say someone trimmed his beard, so they'll say, "Hey, what's with your tzelem elikim?" That's how they'll express it.
Tzelem elikim means what?
Tzelem elikim means how Hashem appears in Shemayim Kaviyachol. Again, not Chas v'Shalom physically, but again, there's some kind of entity in Adam Kadmon called the beard of Adam Kadmon, which is Oisius and or Shemus, and because that Adam Kadmon has a beard, so we have a beard. It's a very Yiddish thing to have a beard. And for instance, in Chabad, they say it's totally usher to trim a beard. Okay, we don't. Not everyone paskins like that, but certainly al pi their rizal, a person will never even trim his beard. So that. Yeah.
The Ari does say you can trim the mustache, though, right?
A mustache is different, correct. That is correct.
What's the reason why a lot of people listen to the mustache but not the beard?
A mustache is a different... Okay, this is a Kabbalistic discussion, but you are correct. There are people that won't do it, but you are correct that it seems like according to the Rizal, you could trim your mustache, correct. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so now, okay, so now, oh, I get it. So now we're going to talk about the way the spheres act, or the way they're made up. Is a sphere is made up of all or. Okay, so the or of Hashem, so to say, or the or of Ein Sof Baruch Hu, that or is what the spheres are made of. But the way that they actually play out is they come in, there's a keli, or a vessel for the or, and then there's the or that goes into the keli. Okay, so anytime that, like, you're drinking now something from a bottle and a cup, right? The bottle to the cup, and you're drinking the liquid. So also the liquid represents the or, and the cup is the keli, or the bottle is the keli, and the liquid in the bottle is the or. So the way that these spheres present themselves is that there's a keli, and then there's or inside, and it's all made of the same or. This is all the same material, okay? Except that what Hashem does is that when the kelim came out, we're going to see that these spheres are going to come out, kaviyachol, of Adam Kadmon. Okay, that's in spheres. Well, spheres we had said are there in a very hidden way in Ein Sof himself, kaviyachol. Spheres are in Adam Kadmon himself. We said that, and now spheres are going to be used to create all the worlds. Okay, and the spheres are going to come out of Adam Kadmon. Now, when the spheres are going to come out, what's going to happen is some of this ore is going to become more, I'm going to use a word solidified, or I'm going to use a word more megushim, is going to become more physical. But chas v'shulam, it's not physical. It's more physical. In other words, in ore, you're going to get different levels of ore. You're going to get very, very high ore, okay? And then you're going to get thicker ore. Thicker means that Hashem allows this ore to become a little bit more gashmias, but I don't want to, I'm a little bit afraid to use that word, because in the places we're talking about, there's no gashmias. It becomes a little bit, let's put it this way, it becomes a little bit closer to physicality than the original ore. But it's totally, the kalim of the spheres, the vessels of the spheres are total spirituality. Okay? They're just a little bit closer to physicality than the ore that they're going to contain. So every sphere is going to have, let's say, keser, okay? There's going to be a keli of keser, and it's going to be filled with an ore of keser. Same thing with chachma. Chachma is going to have the wall, the keli, the circle, however, the globe of chachma. Well, the globe itself will be called the keli. It's created from the same ore as what's going to go into that keli. But it's become a little bit more, they use the word thicker, or a little bit more, that's the kind of word that they use in these svarim. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just a bit confused.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You said something about, along the lines of, that the spheres come from the Adam Kadmon.
Yes.
But I thought that our definition of Adam Kadmon already included spheres.
It's correct. That is correct. It's a very good question. So that is correct. The question was, what am I saying that the spheres come out of Adam Kadmon? They're in Adam Kadmon. So the answer is, that is correct. The 10 spheres we said in a very, very hidden way, kamus, are in Ein Sof himself. And the spheres are definitely in Adam Kadmon, and we said in, right, exactly, Igulim and Yosher. That is correct. That is correct. Okay, but what you're going to see is going to happen is right now, there's going to be 4 major olamois, worlds, that are going to be created underneath, quote unquote, underneath, or on a lower level than Adam Kadmon. Okay? And those spheres are going to be called Atzilis, Bria. Sorry, thank you. What did I say? Spheres. Those Oilamos, thank you. Those worlds are going to be called, the highest one is going to be called Atzilis, and then Bria, and then Yitzira, and then Asiya. And we are here in the world of Asiya. Atzilis, by the way, is a lashon of eitzel, close, or tzel, or a shadow. Because that place called Atzilus is I mean, Adam Kadmon is higher, but that place is considered very, very extremely close to Hashem himself, to Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay, so it's called Atzilus, a lashon of Eitzel, closeness, or Tzel, shadow. That's Atzilus. The world that will come after that is going to be called Bria, which means really creation, the world of creation. Then the world after that, lower than that, is going to be called Yetzira, the world of formation. And then our world is going to be the lowest one, is going to be called the world of Asiya, which means the world of action. Thank you, action. Okay? So what happens, just very, very briefly, what happens in the world of, and the Sefer will go on in detail to explain these things, but I just want to give you, in order to explain where we're going, you have to understand a little bit of what's going on. So as a general rule in this limud, you kind of have to go through the whole thing quick and get an idea, and then you go again and go a little deeper and go again, and then it's a lifetime endeavor. But so that's the only way to get it. So I'm going to try to give you little tidbits and give you a general picture, and then as we go through the Sefer, you're going to get a deeper picture, and then in Mitzvah Hashem, when you finish the Sefer, you can go on to higher, more detailed explanations of the system. And each time you're going to do it, you're going to get wowed, like whoa, like that. That's how this works. Anyway, so Bria. So what? Atzilus is called the world of Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's Hashem where He is. Kaviyuchol. So can't go into this now, but Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hashem that we daven to, that's His place, is called Atzilus. So to say, let's just say it that way. The next level down is called Bria. That is called the olam hakisei. That is where the throne of glory is. And the man who sits on the throne, Kaviyocha, forgive me for saying such a word, but that's how they say it. The man who sits on the throne is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Again, Chas v'shulam, you can't picture a man, even though I'm going to say the word man, you're going to think of man. It's all oisius, it's all shemus, it's Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's what this is. So the man that sits on the throne, Kaviyocha, is Yud Kei Vav Kei. The olam of Bria is the olam of the Kisei, is where the throne of glory is. The olam underneath that, called Yetzira, is the olam of Malachim. That's generally where the Malachim are, even though Malachim could be in other olamas also, but that's generally where the Malachim hang out, for lack of a better word.
The chill zone.
I wouldn't say chill zone, but okay. And then Asiya is this hard physical world, okay, where we can, which is so hidden that I'm always saying this, that a person could even say, I don't believe in God, right? I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in spirituality.
So
That's,
second,
yeah.
You said that our hand is an illusion, so I shouldn't believe in my hand now.
No. Your hand is very real. That's a good question. Your hand is real, but let's put it this way: in comparison to what we call on Adam Kadmoin a yad, a hand, this is an illusion. In other words, if you want to know what's more real, that's more real. That came first. That's the original. We are a carbon copy. Not even carbon. We're many, 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 many degradations down. So it's real. It's real. But if you're going to, I'm just saying, the way we say, this is a mashal, Hashem is a mashal, is a mashal to our hand. No. Hashem is the real thing. This is the mashal. It's real. It's real. But compared to Hashem, it's like a parable. That's all I'm saying. Does that make sense? Yeah.
But in a way, it's kind of like this is the beauty. The Sia is the beauty, because if you just look at Oisius, like in these higher worlds, what's more pleasing to look at? Like what we have in paradise here, maybe like Gan Eden or something. So like, I wouldn't say it's so much degradations. It's what it's supposed to be.
No, I didn't. I don't mean it in a sense of degrading. Like I mean levels down. That's all I meant. I only mean to say it's gone levels down. It's become everyone. The reason that we need all these worlds. Why do we really need these worlds? Because Hashem's light in Ein Sof Kaviyachol is so great. It's like the sun. You can't do anything there. You can't create something in the sun. You get burned instantly. And you need many, many filters to come down till we can have the Hashem's idea was that we would have a physical world. And if he wanted us to be malachim, we could be malachim. That's not what he wanted. He wanted us to have a physical world in a place of evil where we could choose. If there's evil, that means we can choose good or evil. That's what it means. If there was only good, we couldn't choose evil. Okay, so there's evil here, there's Ra here, and Hashem wants us to become like Malachim. He wants us to become higher than the Malachim, right? Because only down here in this physical, hard world is there evil, and we can choose. But in the other way, where the Malachim are, in Yetzirah, there's no, that's a spiritual place. So that's all I mean by degradations. That's what I meant to say. It's just lower levels. I didn't mean in a bad way. Of course, this is the whole purpose. The whole thing that Hashem wanted was this. If He wanted us to be malachim, He would have created us malachim. He wants us to be physical people that choose. Oh, okay. So how are we doing time-wise? We're still okay. So the reason that I'm explaining all this is because we're going to soon get into a parsha called Shviras HaKelim. But before we get there, I think we should read in our Sefer.
Did you answer his question?
What was the question?
You thought the Sfiras were in Adam Kadmon. So how are we talking about Sfiras?
Oh, good. You know what? He's not even here. He's coming back. He's coming back. So, but that's a good. I guess I didn't answer the question. The answer to the question is that all of the above is true. There are 10 spheres kamusois, very, very hidden Ein Sof himself, Kaviyachol. Then there are 10 spheres in Igulim and Yosher in Adam Kadmon. And in order for Hashem to create the world, He is going to take 10 spheres that will come out of Adam Kadmon. And with those spheres, He will be creating all the worlds. That's like I said, the spheres are the DNA of creation. It's the dough of creation. Does that answer the question?
Well,
it's both.
And I think pretty much in every olam, there's a structure of 10 spheres.
100%.
That's I think, the simple...
100%. You said it very well.
Every olam is going to have
10 spheres. Every olam will have 10 spheres. That's right. And they will look like this. Okay, they will look like in the 3 columns called Yosher. So that is correct. Okay, so we started a little late also, so I guess we can go a little late too. Okay, so let's go into our Svarim.
Every one of the olamas has this structure of 10 spheres in it. And the bottom sphere, the malchus of the lowest one, feeds into and becomes the kesser of the next one.
Yeah, that's already. Yeah, you're already talking. You're getting advanced now. You need, your answer to your question was you need the spheres do come out of Adam Kadmon, even though he has his own. Spheres will come out of Adam Kadmon, and that will be the building blocks to create all the worlds. Okay, let's go into our Sefer now. We are on page Chaf. Let's go from page. Let's go from page. Actually, Chaf Zayin we could do. Okay. So Chaf Zayin in the middle, Vegam. Everyone have that? We're in the middle section, and we're in the middle of the middle section, Vegam. Yeah, everyone okay? Okay. Vegam bezeh kav, and also this kav hanikra ak. Now we said. Now I'm just going to say it again. There's this section there are mistakes. So over here they seem to say, the Sefer seems to say that the kav is ak, or is Adam Kadmon. And I said that I had a discussion with Rabbi Mandelovich, who put together this Sefer, and he said it's a mistake, and in the next edition, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, they're going to correct this mistake.
Right. Like we said last week.
Right. Hagam shu rak nitzitz echad me'or ein sof. So even though this kav is just like a spark of ein sof, it's a line that comes in. Im kol zeh, still, lefi she'adayin yesh bo yisron or, because there's a lot of ore coming in, the efshar lehabria liskayim me'or hagadol, even this line coming in is going to be too much ore. Even this line coming in is going to be too much ore for creation to be created. Lachain, it's too big, it's too blinding, it's too powerful, it's too much of a fire. Lachain, therefore, here Hashem Yisbarach is or hakav b'shnei oifanim. Hashem is going to use this kav in 2 different ways. Tzimtzim al yidei tzinor kedei lahaktin es toikef or kedel halan. Okay, again, this is going to be, we're going to have to correct the text a little bit. He says he's going to give Aleph and Beis what happens to this Kav. Aleph. So first of all, Shaloi Yatsa Kol Yetze Kol Toikef Or Hanitzitz Shebefnim Rak Chele Katan Mimena Derech Nekavim V'Chaloinos. Now again, this is a mistake. This is not talking anymore about the Kav. This is talking about Adam Kadmon. So what he's saying here is the Kav, he's not saying it, but this is what they mean. And it will be corrected. The Kav will create Adam Kadmon. We said that. And then now what he's saying here now, this is why I had to explain to you Oznaim, Choitim, Peh, eyes, ears, because what he's saying now is, listen to these words. Rak Chele Katan Mimeni Derech Nekavim V'Chaloinos. He's saying the ore of Adam Kadmon is too great for there to be creation in that Adam Kadmon. So what has to happen is Adam Kadmon has to have openings. That's what it says. And what are these openings? The ears, the nose, the eyes, the mouth. Okay? That these so, and the ore, what's going to happen is, we're going to talk about it in Shviras HaKelim, is that the spheres are going to come out of these places of Adam Kadmon and be outside of Adam Kadmon. And that outside of Adam Kadmon is where these worlds will be created. And we're going to discuss how these worlds get created. But that's what
about the openings in your private areas?
That's a good question. There is discussion about this in Kisvei Arizal, and you did ask a good question, because the truth is that the expression, we're going to actually learn a piece here, but the expression, as I've said it before, Mibasari Echzaleka, I think it's a pasuk in Eov, a portion of a pasuk, which means from my flesh I see God, I see Hashem. And so it seems that you can actually look at the entire human body, and it does mean something in Shemaim. We are like I said, an image of Tselem Elokim. Tselem Elokim. That's what it means. As a matter of fact, I want to make another quick point. What do you do with this expression that Hashem says He creates us in Tselem Elokim? What do you do with that? So again, different Meforshim tried to explain it that in different ways when they were talking to people that did not have any Kabbalistic knowledge. So for instance, Tselem Elokim, some Meforshim will say, well, that means Bechira. The same way Hashem can choose to do what He wants to do, so a human being can choose. That's Tselem Elokim. That means we're made in the form of Hashem. Okay, it's true. It makes sense. That's one pshat. It's not the literal pshat. Tselem Elokim means the form of Hashem. I saw in the Mabit. The Mabit was a big tzaddik. He lived in Tzvas in the time of the Arizal and the Beis Yosef and all those great tzaddikim.
Where was he born?
I don't know. Probably over there, somewhere in Eretz Yisrael. And the Mabit says an interesting thing. The Mabit says the Torah has Taryag and Shasa, right? The Torah there's Taryag mitzvahs, Taryag mitzvahs made of Ramach mitzvahs to say, right? 248 mitzvahs to say, and Shasa mitzvahs lois to say, and 365 mitzvahs lois to say. So what's Tselem Elokim? So the human body has 248 limbs, right? There is a scientific count even that let's say every bone of a finger is called a limb, or every finger is one limb. I don't know exactly how they count, but there is a certain scientific count that you can count that there are 248 bones in your body, and there are 365 sinews and veins in your body. Says the Mabit, that's a Tselem Elokim, because Hashem, Yisrael, V'Raisav, V'Kudsha Brichu Chadhu, right? All these three entities, Hashem and the Torah and the Yidden are all one thing, right? There's all one, right? So if there are 248 mitzvahs to say in the Torah, and there are 365 mitzvahs lois to say, negative commandments, and that's negative, and the other one was positive commandments, right? That is Hashem and the Torah are one, and so if we have 248 limbs and 365 veins and sinews, so that's how we are Tselem Elokim. That's how we compare to Elokim. You hang on. That's okay. Like, that's a nice explanation. But the word is Tselem Elikim, the image of Hashem. If you will get deeper into Kisvei Arizal, I usually find that the words are literal. Tselem Elikim, it's the form of Hashem. Hashem Kaviyachol has ears, we have ears. Hashem has eyes, we have eyes. Hashem has a mouth, we have a mouth. Chas v'shalom, do not be Megashim. It's not physical. It's literal, but it's not physical. It's Oisius and Shemus. But that is Tselem Elikim. Hashem has a beard. In Oisius and Shemus, we have a beard. That is Tselem Elikim. It's a literal meaning.
It's all spiritual,
okay, so
no?
And it's spiritual. Sorry, Reb Chaim. Yeah.
Maybe that Tselem Elokim is your neshama.
Oh, that's another one.
Because you're
Good.
saying Kavayachal Hashem.
Oh.
So the 100 Sons of Cure, actually 70 to 80 years is the tradition. All our physicalities can go and
Right.
disappear, and then we'll be Kavayachal. Like we just have a neshama, and that certainly doesn't have any physicality.
Correct. So you said an excellent thing. What you probably said now, not probably, I imagine most people explain Tselem Elikim, they say it's a neshama. We all have a neshama, that's our Tselem Elikim. It's not the physical body, it's neshama. But according to the Arizal, Tselem Elikim means a nose, a mouth, a beard, eyes, a chest.
A head.
Don't Goyim also have a nose, a mouth,
Oh!
and a chest?
That's a great question.
So look in, they were then also.
Right.
They are children of Adam, Harishan, right? Now, in Neshamas, there's differences.
Why do we have to go so far to answer his question? He said...
No, what?
He asked about,
I'm sorry?
he asked about the private areas. Why,
Right.
Why not? There's Yesod, and there's the Ketzer of Yesod.
100%.
Hashpah, it's like, it's right there.
100%. What Rabbi Gisselson is saying is, yes, I'll tell you exactly what he just said. Every the 10 spheres represent 10 parts of the body. Okay, and this is also, again, it's not Tselem Elikim. Oh, Tselem Elikim. Exactly, Tselem Elikim. Exactly. So I'll just say again, this sefer, we're going to get into this. It's going to go into much heavier detail. But basically, Chachma Bina Badas, Keser, Chachma Bina, and let's even say Das. Those are all. Some people say Keser is the skull. That's what you see a lot. Left brain. There's two parts of the brain, right? There's right brain, left brain. Right brain is Chachma. Left brain is Bina. Das is the space in between the two brains. Right hand is Chesed. Left hand is Gvura. The trunk of a person is Tiferes. Right leg is Netzach. Left leg is Hod. The private part is Yesod. And there's different explanations. Some people say, forgive me, Yesod is the Aver itself, and Malchus is the tip of the Aver. Some people say that. Then there's a whole other way that all those things are in man, and the Yesod is and Malchus is your wife. So the 9 is you, and the wife is Malchus. She's the 10th. There's another cheshbon that Malchus is your mouth. This is endless. But to answer, Rabbi Avram Gisselson said a very important thing, that absolutely the man's organ is Yesod. That's the most simple, and in many Perushim it's Yesod and Malchus. Like I said, it's the organ and the tip of the organ. So yeah, it's very clearly says it in this way. Should we go a little longer because we started, or we should just call it
58.
Oh, 50. We're at 58 already. It's already good. Okay, so again, everyone should, if you want to have a lag sameach, please come to 53 Bevshire Sunday at 5:30ish. Im Yetz Hashem, and we will continue Im Yetz Hashem next week.
Yeah.